The door to my room opened without warning just after 2 in the morning. I bolted upright in bed, heart slamming against my ribs, expecting maybe Mom checking on me or the cat knocking something over. Instead, Jordan stepped inside, my stepbrother, closing the door quietly behind him. His face looked pale even in the soft glow from my bedside lamp, and his hands were clenched at his sides like he was fighting not to shake. "Alex, I can't keep pretending anymore," he said, voice low and rough. "Not after tonight. Not after the way you looked at me at dinner." I stared at him, the words hitting like ice water. Jordan was 21, 2 years older than me, tall and broad from years of basketball and construction work on weekends. We had been stepbrothers for 6 years, ever since my mom married his dad in a quiet ceremony outside Chicago. At first we were just 2 awkward teenage boys thrown together in the same house in our suburban neighborhood in Naperville, Illinois. We played video games, argued over the TV remote, and slowly became real brothers. Or at least that's what everyone thought. But tonight the air between us felt different. Heavy. Dangerous. "What are you talking about?" I whispered back, even though I already knew. I had known for a long time, buried so deep I almost convinced myself it wasn't real. Jordan sat down on the edge of my bed, the mattress dipping under his weight. He didn't look at me at first. "I'm gay, Alex. I've known since I was 16. And it's not just that. It's you. It's always been you." The room went completely silent except for the distant hum of the furnace. I felt my face burn, my stomach twisted into knots. Part of me wanted to laugh it off, tell him to go back to his room and stop messing around. The other part, the part one had locked away since I was 15 and realized why I never felt the same spark with girls that my friends did, wanted to reach out and touch his hand. "You can't say that," I finally managed. "We're brothers, stepbrothers, but still. Mom and Dad, the family, people around here would lose their minds. You know how this town is. Church on Sunday, gossip on Monday." Jordan finally met my eyes. His were dark, tired, but honest in a way that scared me. "I know. Believe me, I know. I've spent years hating myself for it. Every family barbecue, every holiday photo where we stand side by side smiling like nothing's wrong. Every time Dad clapped me on the back and said how proud he was of his boys. But tonight, when you passed me the potatoes and our fingers brushed, I just broke." We talked until the sky outside my window started to turn gray. He told me how the feeling started small, back when we were teenagers sharing a bathroom and arguing over who left the towel on the floor. How they grew into something he couldn't ignore during family vacations to the lake, watching me swim and laugh. How he dated girls to hide it just like I had. How the guilt ate at him because he loved his dad and my mom, loved the fragile peace our blended family had finally found after my real dad left when I was 10 and his mom passed away when he was 12. I told him my side too. The nights I lay awake wondering why I felt safe around him in a way I never did with anyone else. The shame that came with every secret glance. The fear that if anyone found out, it would destroy the one stable home I'd had since middle school. By the time the first birds started chirping, we were both exhausted. Jordan stood up to leave, but paused at the door. "I don't expect anything from you," he said quietly. "I just couldn't carry it alone anymore. Whatever you decide, I'll respect it. But if there's even a chance you feel the same, we have to be careful. No one can know." I nodded, throat tight. "No one can know." He slipped out, and I lay back down, staring at the ceiling as the sun rose. My world had cracked open in the middle of the night, and I had no idea how to put it back together. The next few days were torture. We acted normal at breakfast and dinner, talking about college classes for me and his job at the auto shop. Mom chattered about her garden club. Dad complained about work at the insurance office. But every time Jordan and I passed each other in the hallway, our eyes would lock for half a second too long. Every shared glance felt like a secret promise and a warning at the same time. On Thursday night, after Mom and Dad went to bed, Jordan knocked softly on my door again. This time I let him in without hesitation. We sat on the floor against my bed, backs to the mattress, shoulders almost touching but not quite. "I keep thinking about what people would say," I admitted, The neighbors, people at church. Your dad. He's always talking about traditional values. Mom finally seems happy after everything with my real dad. What if we ruin that? Jordan leaned his head back. I think about it every minute. But then I think about living the rest of my life lying to everyone, including myself. Including you. That feels like a different kind of ruin. We didn't touch. We didn't kiss. We just talked. Hours slipping by as we unpacked years of hidden feelings. When he finally left near dawn, I felt both lighter and heavier than I ever had. By the end of the week, the secret had become a living thing between us, fragile and terrifying and impossible to ignore. The secret started to change how we moved through the house. I became hyper-aware of Jordan's schedule, timing my own so we could steal a few minutes alone when Mom was at her part-time job and Dad was still at the office. We never did anything that would look suspicious to an outsider, but the air crackled every time we were near each other. One Saturday afternoon, Mom asked me to run to the store for milk. Jordan volunteered to come along. In the car, windows down, autumn air rushing in, we finally breathed easier. We drove the long way home, parking at the edge of a quiet park where no one from our neighborhood went. I feel like I'm living two lives, I told him, watching leaves fall from the trees. The Alex who helps Mom with dinner and laughs at Dad's bad jokes. And the Alex who can't stop thinking about you. Jordan's hand rested on the gear shift, close to mine but not touching. Same. At work the guys talk about girls, and I nod along. But all I see is your face when you concentrate on your textbooks at the kitchen table. We talked about the future we couldn't have. College for me next year, maybe transferring to a bigger school. Jordan saving money to maybe open his own garage someday. Normal dreams that now felt tangled up with the impossible question of us. That night, after everyone went to bed, he came to my room again. This time we sat closer. Our shoulders touched. When he reached over and took my hand, it felt like the most natural and terrifying thing in the world. We stayed like that for a long time, saying nothing, just letting the warmth of the contact say what words couldn't. The guilt hit hardest on Sunday. We all went to church together like always, the four of us in our usual pew. The pastor talked about family and moral choices. I sat there feeling like a fraud, Jordan beside me, our knees almost brushing under the hymnal. Mom squeezed my hand during the closing prayer, smiling at me with so much love it made my stomach hurt. Afterward at the potluck, neighbors asked the usual questions. How's school, Alex? Jordan, when are you going to settle down with a nice girl? We smiled and gave the expected answers, but inside I was screaming. That evening Jordan found me in the backyard, raking leaves. We should stop, he said quietly, before it gets deeper, before someone notices. I wanted to agree. It would have been the right thing, the safe thing. Instead I said, I don't know if I can. He didn't argue. The look he gave me said he couldn't either. Over the next weeks, the secret grew roots. We started taking longer drives on weekends, talking about everything and nothing. One night we sat in the car at the edge of a cornfield outside town, radio playing low, and he told me about the night he almost came out to his dad after his mom died, how the fear stopped him. I told him about the panic attacks I had in high school when I realized I was gay and thought it meant I'd always be alone. We still hadn't crossed any physical lines beyond holding hands. The romance was in the words, the trust, the way we saw each other clearly when the rest of the world saw only stepbrothers. But every day the weight of the lie pressed harder. Mom started commenting that we seemed closer than ever. It's nice to see my boys getting along so well, she'd say with a warm smile. Dad would grunt approval, proud of the family unity he thought he'd built. Each kind word felt like another crack in the foundation. The close calls started small. One evening Mom came home early from her book club and nearly walked in on us talking in the basement. We barely pulled apart in time, pretending to look for old photo albums. Another night Dad asked Jordan why he was spending so much time at home instead of going out with friends. Jordan lied smoothly about saving money, but I saw the tension in his jaw. The worst was Thanksgiving. The whole extended family came over, aunts, uncles, cousins. Everyone laughing, eating too much, asking when Jordan and I were going to find nice girlfriends. I caught Jordan's eye across the table and saw the same panic I felt. That night, after everyone left, we met in my room. The conversation turned heavy. Maybe we should tell them, I said, even though the idea terrified me. Not everything, just that we're together. Let them deal with it. Jordan shook his head. You know what would happen? Dad would lose it. He's already made comments about the gay agenda at work. Mom would cry, worried about what the neighbors would say. They'd probably make one of us move out. And the family, they'd pick sides. It would break everything we have. I knew he was right. Our parents had built this second chance at family after so much loss. My mom finally had stability. His dad had someone to share his grief with. Ruining that felt selfish, cruel even. But denying what was growing between us felt like dying slowly. We compromised by being more careful. Fewer late-night talks. More public distance. It only made the secret burn hotter. At community college, I threw myself into classes to distract myself. My best friend Tyler noticed something was off. You've been weird lately, man. Everything okay at home? I lied and said it was just stress. But the lies were piling up, and I hated myself for them. Jordan was struggling too. At work, one of the guys invited him to a bar to meet some girls. He went to keep up appearances and came home looking sick. When he slipped into my room that night, he didn't say much. Just sat on the floor and rested his head against my knee. I ran my fingers through his hair, the most intimate thing we'd done, and felt the full weight of what we were risking. Christmas was approaching. Lights went up on houses around the neighborhood. Mom hummed carols while baking. The joy in the house made our secret feel even darker. One night in mid-December, after a particularly tense family dinner where Dad lectured about standing up for traditional marriage, Jordan came to my room with tears in his eyes. I don't know how much longer I can do this, he whispered, pretending in front of them, hiding from you when all I want is to be honest. I pulled him into a hug, the first real one since that first night. We held each other tight, breathing together, and for a moment the world outside the room didn't exist. But the world was still there, and it was closing in. The betrayal came from the place I least expected. I had confided in Tyler one exhausted afternoon after finals, swearing him to secrecy. It's Jordan, I said. My stepbrother. I think I'm in love with him. Tyler had listened, shocked but supportive. Or so I thought. 2 days later, rumors started at the community college. Whispers in the hallways. Someone had seen us talking too closely in the parking lot. Tyler swore he hadn't said anything, but his guilty face told a different story. The news traveled fast in our small social circle and then leaked toward home. Jordan heard it first from a coworker whose cousin went to my school. He came home furious and scared. Someone knows, Alex. Not everything, but enough. They're saying we're too close. That it's weird. That night we argued for the first time. Not the playful kind, but real anger born of fear. This is why we should have stopped, Jordan said, pacing my room. I told you it was dangerous. You think I wanted this? I shot back. You're the one who came into my room that night and changed everything. We both regretted the words immediately. The fight ended with us sitting on the bed, shoulders touching, apologizing in quiet voices. But the damage was done. Mom overheard part of a phone call Jordan had with a friend trying to figure out how to contain the rumor. She didn't confront us right away, but I caught her watching us with worried eyes at dinner. The confrontation came on a cold January evening. Dad called us both into the living room after Mom had gone to bed early, claiming a headache. He looked tired and stern, the way he did when delivering bad news about insurance claims. People are talking, he said flatly, about you too, saying things that don't make sense for brothers. I don't believe it, but I need you to tell me straight. Is there something going on I should know about? Jordan and I exchanged a glance. The moment of truth had arrived sooner than we were ready for. I opened my mouth, but Jordan spoke first. It's not what people are saying, Dad. We're just close. That's all. Dad studied us for a long moment. Good, because this family has been through enough. I won't have gossip tearing it apart. He left the room, but the warning hung in the air like smoke. After that, the pressure became unbearable. We stopped the late-night talks completely. We barely looked at each other in public. The romance that had sustained us through the fall now felt like a wound we were both trying to ignore. But feelings don't vanish just because you decide they're inconvenient. Every night I lay awake missing the sound of his voice in the dark. Every morning I saw the same exhaustion in Jordan's eyes. The family that had brought us together was now the thing driving us apart. The family meeting happened on a Saturday morning in February. Mom had clearly been the one to push for it. She made pancakes, the kind she only did for serious talks, and then asked us all to sit down at the kitchen table. "I love this family," she started, voice trembling. "After everything we've been through, losing people, starting over, I thought we were solid. But the rumors, the way you two have been acting, I need to know the truth." Dad sat beside her, arms crossed, silent but clearly on edge. Jordan looked at me, then at them. "Alex and I, we care about each other, more than brothers usually do. But we know it's complicated." The silence that followed was deafening. Mom started crying first. "How long?" "Months," I admitted. "Since last fall." Dad's face turned red. "This is my house, my family. You two are brothers in the eyes of God and the law. What you're suggesting is wrong. It would destroy us in this community. People would talk. Church would judge. Your futures." He went on for what felt like hours. About responsibility. About sacrifice. About how he and Mom had worked too hard to build this life. Jordan tried to explain. I tried to defend what we felt. But every argument sounded selfish against their pain. Mom finally spoke through tears. "If this continues, one of you needs to leave. At least for a while. Until you sort yourselves out. I can't watch my boys tear each other and this family apart." The words landed like stones. That night Jordan packed a bag. He was going to stay with a friend from work for a few weeks. "It's the only way," he told me at the door, voice breaking. "I can't be the reason they lose what they have." I wanted to beg him to stay, to fight, but I saw the exhaustion in his eyes, the same guilt that had been eating at me for months. We hugged for a long time, the kind of hug that felt like goodbye even if neither of us said the word. After he left, the house felt empty. Mom avoided me. Dad was polite but distant. I threw myself into school and work, but every quiet moment brought back memories of midnight conversations and secret drives. Jordan texted sometimes. Short messages, checking in, saying he missed me, but the distance grew. Weeks turned into a month. The rumors at school died down, but the damage to our family lingered. Mom smiled less. Dad watched me with disappointment in his eyes. I started questioning everything. Was our love real, or just the thrill of the forbidden? Had we been selfish, chasing something that could only bring pain? Or was denying it the greater betrayal of ourselves and each other? The awakening came slowly. I realized that hiding hadn't protected anyone. It had only delayed the hurt. Spring arrived early that year. The snow melted, and the neighborhood bloomed with daffodils. Jordan had been gone for 6 weeks. He had found a small apartment closer to work, saying it was time to be more independent anyway. We met for coffee once, in a place far from home, and the conversation was careful, polite. The spark was still there, but buried under layers of guilt and fear. I started going to a support group at college for LGBTQ students, listening to others talk about coming out, family rejection. Finding their own path gave me perspective I desperately needed. One girl shared how she had chosen her truth over her parents' approval, and how it had been the hardest but best decision of her life. The words stayed with me. One evening in April, I drove to Jordan's apartment without calling first. He opened the door looking surprised but not unhappy. We sat on his small couch, the same careful distance between us. "I've been thinking a lot," I said, "about what we did to Mom and Dad, about the price we paid, but also about the price of never trying. I don't want to spend my life wondering what if." Jordan listened quietly, then spoke. "I love you, Alex. Not just as a brother, but I love them too. I don't know how to choose without hurting someone. We talked for hours again, the way we had that first night. This time there were no easy answers. Only the hard truth that love, even the real kind, always comes with consequences. In the end, we made a choice. Not to run away together. Not to force the family to accept what they couldn't. But to be honest separately and together. Jordan would stay in his apartment. I would finish the semester at home but start making plans to transfer to a school in the city. We would give our parents time, answer their questions when they were ready, and see if the family could heal while we figured out what we were to each other. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. Mom still cried sometimes. Dad remained distant. The neighbors whispered. But something shifted in me. I stopped hating the part of myself that loved Jordan. I started believing that wanting to be happy wasn't the same as being selfish. Jordan and I are taking it slow now. Coffee dates. Long talks. No pressure. The romance that began in the middle of the night is still there. Quieter but stronger for having survived the storm. Our family may never be the same. Some wounds take years to heal. But we are all learning that love, in all its complicated forms, demands courage. Was it wrong for us to follow our hearts knowing the pain it would cause the people we love most? Or would denying that love have been the greater betrayal of the family that taught us what love is supposed to be?